Ready to go? All right, we're good to go. It's Tuesday, May 6, 2025, and this is a meeting of the Plan Commission of the City of West Bend. We recognize a quorum of our Plan Commission here tonight with Chris Schmidt excused absent tonight. John Sparts is calling in on teleconference. We can see him and he can hear us. He's waving at us. I invite you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We have important business to get through tonight, and hopefully we're quick because it's an absolutely gorgeous evening out, and I appreciate you all being here tonight. Our first item of business is approval of our Plan Commission regular meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2025.
I need to make an adjustment on it.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Hang on just a second, John. We've got a motion to approve for Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. John, what's your amendment to the meeting minutes?
I need to be added.
You need to be added.
I needed to be added as attending, the one I was at.
We will make that amendment right now.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for catching that.
Yeah.
Any other changes, corrections? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we've got a couple of public hearings tonight. Jim, I'll turn them over to you. I think these first two items kind of go hand in hand, so why don't you explain both of them to us, then we'll hold the public hearings.
Sure. So tonight, we're asking the commission to make consideration for a land use change and a zoning change. So back in February of this year, we introduced a land use change for approximately 9 acres of land east of Kilbourn Avenue, extended and west of Water's Edge Drive, which is extended, which is the Creekside Subdivision. The developer is requesting to change the land use and the zoning for this. So the land use was originally proposed for two-family residential. The developer is requesting to change that to a lesser density of single-family residential. So we're asking the commission to consider this change. This change would actually take it and facilitate for the development of the property. If you remember back when I gave the original analysis for this, is that it was originally designed for transitioning from the multifamily to the single-family residential. They evaluated their lots and everything and the layout of the subdivision and found out that the lots were slightly smaller for a two-family building, so they asked if we could do a larger or a reduced zoning to the single-family, which fits in with the remainder of the subdivision, which is all single-family for that entire area. The lots that abutted the multifamily did have, were a little bit deeper and were a little bit bigger than a normal RS4 single-family lot. So staff felt that this would have been a compatible or and sufficient zoning for that area. So if the commission approves the land use plan, we're asking them to, land use change, we're asking the adoption of the resolution that was in the packet. And then also forward the recommendation to Common Council for final action. And then there's the second public hearing that we would have would be actually for the zoning amendment, changing it from the RD2 two-family residential to the RS4 single-family residential, which would be consistent with the remaining subdivision.
Great, thank you. I know that we have Joe here representing the developer. Joe, would you like the opportunity to present to the Plan Commission?
Kaerek Homes for the development of this land. And I think Jim did a nice job of summarizing what we're here asking for. It's a pretty straightforward rezoning request. So I just want to introduce myself, and I'm around if there's some questions or concerns regarding this request. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else here representing any of the involved parties? If not, I will open the public hearing, and this is for the recommended land use change part of the public hearing for two-family residential land use to single-family residential land use in the 2020 comprehensive plan for approximately 9.8 acres of land located between East Kilbourn Drive Extended and Edgewater Extended in the Creekside Subdivision. If anybody would like to address the Plan Commission, now is your opportunity on this recommended land use change. Public hearing is now open.
Motion to close the public hearing.
There was some.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, sir. If you wouldn't mind just stating your name and we'll
Sure. Jerome Zeiger. I remember some of you from high school. I taught school here for 40 years. So I remember as teenagers, solving problems really wasn't that problem. We found out as adults it's not always so easy, but I'd like to thank you for all the work you do in our city to help it run smoothly. I just have a couple questions. I think I know the answers, but I notice on the size of the lots now are going to be smaller than they were before on the original plat.
We haven't gotten the final plat for this area yet, but Joe could probably speak a little more intelligent on but I believe the lot sizes were gonna be pretty much remain the same size as what they had from, if it would have been zoned RD2.
Because I'm going by memory, and on the very, from the original plat that was years ago, I couldn't find it in my folders. But my memory tells me that on the very south end of the place that's going to be rezoned, butts up against our condo association. And I don't recall as many lots. It seems like when I looked at the map over here, there were more lots on the very south end than there were before. So that's just one question. And the other one is, and I think I know the answer to this one too, is on the plat I saw over here, I don't see any space for any kind of park. That seems to be no green space for a park there in that new subdivision.
Correct. That subdivision was designed not to have a park because we have the park over to the east for the dock honoring park and everything. So we do have neighborhood parks that do service the area. So that's part of the open space plan that we have.
So that still goes back to some of the trade-off that went on when the softball diamonds went in over at Quas Creek.
Quas Creek.
Well, it'd be nice though if the people who are building there, they're not aware of those types of agreements. It might be nice if the developer could find space for a small park. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to address the Plan Commission on the recommended land use change? Seeing none, I will make a motion to close the public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Scott. Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll now entertain action on this recommended land use change. I'll look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Second by Jeff. Any comments, questions, discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We'll now move on to a public hearing for the zoning of the same area of land, East Kilbourn Avenue extended and west of Edgewater Drive extended in the Creekside Subdivision. Again, this is RD2 to RS4. RD2 multifamily to RS4 single-family residential. The public hearing is now open. If there's anybody wishing to address the Plan Commission on the zoning change, please come up to the mic. I will motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll now take action on the zoning change. Again, RD2 to RS4, East Kilbourn Avenue extended and west of Edgewater Drive extended in the Creekside Subdivision. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Jeff, second by Paul. Second by Scott. Jeff and second by Scott. Any comments, questions, discussion?
I have a
Colin?
question.
Yeah,
You have the same tax number with two different size acreages.
Yeah, so the,
10 point,
yeah, I can explain that. So the 9.8 was for the land use.
Okay.
And so that one, the land use area is actually slightly smaller for that. The 10.1 is actually the zoning area, which also includes the half right-of-ways of the proposed streets that would be within that development. So that's why there's a slight difference between the two numbers.
okay. Makes sense.
any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Our next item, we're going to move to 5B, which is another comprehensive plan and zoning amendment, which is also 5B1 and 5B2 kind of go hand in hand. So, Jim.
Thank you. So tonight, we're asking the commission to consider and direct staff, if they find it to be acceptable, for another change to the comprehensive plan. This one happens to be on the north side of town up on Stratford Road. We have a parcel of land that has two land uses and two zonings. There are multiple lots that are actually combined into one tax parcel. So tonight, we're asking consideration from a developer that we received a request for the change of land use from industrial to two-family residential. The land use plan recognized the land use up in that area as originally the southern portion, just north of High Mount there, was part of an industrial use. The lot itself is no longer used, which is vacant north of that industrial use. So the developer is requesting on behalf of the property owner to change that land use to two-family. This is to actually help facilitate for the redevelopment of this area. This area was platted back in the 20s in the village of Barton. And when it was annexed into the city in 62, we recognized the use that was out in that area. And so that remained industrial and residential in that area. So they're asking for that industrial area to be converted over to two-family, which would transition into a single-family for hopes of redevelopment of that area. Back in 2000, I think it was 15 or 13, the city installed sanitary sewer down that road. And then as part of a sewer extension project, and water still has to be extended down that road to serve this area also. But tonight's consideration is to change that, or consider that land use change. Staff has actually looked in the area. We did the area to the west, that's two-family right now. We did change that originally from industrial also, and to help facilitate the redevelopment that when that habitat did. So staff feels that this would be a usable and good transition from that existing industrial to the two-family and then also to the single-family use.
All right, so this is consideration on the land use change and the zoning change. We won't have a public hearing on this tonight, but would like some discussion and give staff thumbs up or thumbs down on whether or not to schedule a public hearing on this in the future. RJ is here from Lush Homes. RJ, if you'd like to come up and address the Plan Commission, we'd love to hear you.
It's still open, RJ? It looks like it is, yes.
Okay.
So, I guess my first question is, would you like me to start with a quick overview of Lush what we're doing, or you want me to just start with just kind of the drawings and then go from there?
You should probably have an overview.
Sure,
Start with an
quick
overview
overview would be great.
of what we're doing? Okay. And what Lush is?
And isn't he, is he supposed to switch it over so we can see the screen?
Yeah, they should be able to switch it over for us. I don't have control on it.
Can you switch over the screen on the podium? Is that something you need to do? Yeah, okay. I'll do that.
Let me know when we're good to go.
All right, we can see it here. Can you see it on the TVs there?
Yes,
Perfect.
I can. Perfect. All right, so thank you everyone for the time today. Like I said, I'm RJ, I'm the founder of Lush Homes, and I just want to give you guys a quick presentation of what our mission is and what we're looking to do and how we're a little different. So, Lush team, like I said, I'm RJ Lang, and I'm also here with my father, Randy Lang. He's the co-owner of Lang Brothers Architectural Millwork, and what we've done is we've designed a new construction technique that's allowing us to build homes quicker, better, faster, and more cost-effective and energy efficient. So without giving you guys the 2-hour presentation, I'm gonna go through this as quick as possible. So what we're looking to do is address what we call the 5 Ls. So you have lumber was the first one. Instead of building out of 2x4 construction, we build our houses entirely out of 3/4 inch plywood that's snapped together without nails and glue that put them together. Land, we're looking to use existing land that we're talking about, and our starting mission was in the city of Milwaukee, filling vacant lots and building homes there. Labor, we're using automation and access capacity to build not just a building system, but an economic model where we can create local jobs within the economies and towns that we're building. And then we have lending and local codes, which we've gone through all of that process. Naturally, when you have a new construction method, you have to develop that and improve it. Last year, we were lucky enough to be part of the continued education for all of the inspectors across the state of Wisconsin. So every inspector has seen our process and is familiar with it. Some of the benefits of a Lush system, zero waste manufacturing. So we use 100% of our product. So like I said, everything's built out of 3/4 inch plywood. We use typically 80 to 95% of the material that goes into the sheeting of the house. What's left over we use for things like furniture, chairs, pallet jacks, or shavings for barn animals. Precision, when we're building these homes, we eliminate most of the cutting on site, if not all of it. We're cutting to 1/100 of an inch using a CNC machine. Like I said, we're using plywood. This is 6x12 framing, so you're not looking at your normal 2x4, 2x6 framing. You have a 6x12 beam that's building the structure. Assembled with simple tools, using rubber mallet, straps, crowbar is what you need to assemble the home. This morning and afternoon, I was building a house in Milwaukee. We assembled roughly 400 square feet of it today with our crew using those tools. And then plug and play energy efficiency. So we have holes that are already pre-drilled into the system, which allows for increasing the efficiency of the trades, so mechanicals, electricians, and things like that. So this just shows a couple quick highlights of what that is here. So we're doing spray foam for energy efficiency. Here you can see the pre-cut holes, so the plumbing and stuff can just be run right through the system. Because it's a 6x12 beam, we don't have trusses in our homes, so you have these nice high vaulted ceilings that become a standard package. This over here talks about the zero waste. Here's one of our guys assembling the house with the rubber mallet there. And so today looks very familiar to me because this is what we're doing. So transportation, this is how they come to the site. You get these pre-made beams. These beams look heavy. They're all under 250 pounds, so 2 individuals can carry these out into place and set them where they need to be. This is a site on 39th Street in Milwaukee that we built, so you can see here that there's the semi-truck. The pieces come out, they're laid down, a connector piece is put in between using a rubber mallet to put it in place. We then lift it up, slide it into these tab connectors, and that builds a 4-foot by, in this example, 25-foot span opening. And this is what the shell looks like after about a week with 4 guys. So it's open concept, no load-bearing walls, high ceilings, 6x12 framing, 4-foot on center. Doors, windows are already pre-cut. So internal walls, we have the ability to use a different system there. You can use drywall. We have also another system where we use thermal fused panels that snap onto the wall. Much more durable. It's actually a premium product that can go into the homes. And so this is the finished look of one of the homes that we did in Milwaukee last year, just to give you a feel for that. This entire home is built with thermal fused panels. What's something that we're proud about here is everything in this picture, except for the furniture, is a recycled product. Here's some of the bedrooms, just to give you guys kind of a feel of what we're, looking to do. Let's just talk about that. And then this is just touching base on this, right? Everyone always wonders what the cost is, and like I said in the beginning, one of the advantages we have, I think, is we're building a premium product that maintains quality, and we're finding what we're able to bring down the cost compared to traditional construction that we've seen. And this is what we're seeing for one-off homes, not even scaling this on multifamily or development projects. So with that said, that's just a very quick overview of what Lush is and what we're looking to do. Okay,
Thank you, RJ.
absolutely.
John, did you have something you wanted to address as far as lots?
I'll let RJ pull up his site plan, and correct me, RJ, if I'm correct. I think when we were in the hallway before the meeting, we were talking about those 3 lots that you currently have
Yep.
on there that, so right now we have the item, which would be going to a public hearing at a future date, being rezoned to RD2 for the first 2 lots.
Yep.
Do you need the 3rd lot, or do you only need the RD2 for the first 2?
Do we want to do the 3?
I think it makes sense to do the 3rd lot because we're still having unknown about the sewer drainage.
Okay.
So what we're waiting on is to see what we get back from engineering on it, so we would look at doing the 3 for now.
So we would just agendize, they would have a motion, planning commission would have a motion to move staff forward, but with the 3 lots. And then we'd publicize the hearing with the 3.
Yeah, we can adjust
Yep.
that.
Okay, yep.
Okay.
All right, just wanted to
Yep.
make sure. We talked last week, we were at 2. You guys did a little more homework, so
Yep.
this is
Yeah,
sort of,
this
is the,
on the fly.
once we publish it, we're kind of stuck with it for the next meeting, so.
Yep.
All right. I'll let you walk through the site plan now. Thanks.
Yep. So the reason why we're looking at the 3 lots, right, is we've been doing more and more homework on these water lines and sewer lines where they run off, meeting with the excavator and going through the designs. So right now, our current plan is to look at building these 5 and possibly seeing if we could get an additional home built in here. And then this is the area that we're looking to rezone from the industrial. And then based on what we find with these lines and what we end up doing with running the water down the street, we would look at building probably 1 to 2 or 3 multifamily duplex type homes. And then if we scroll down here.
So RJ, can you go back up? I think for the planning commission, it might be helpful for them to understand some of the difficulties of the site. So
Yep.
in Stratford, just so you're all aware, there actually is sanitary sewer, but there is no water. So to build these homes, water will have to be actually put into the right-of-way along the entire length of Stratford. In addition, you can see on this drawing, we actually have, it's a little hard to see, but there's actually a storm sewer coming from the east, which would be, your east is to the,
This over here.
to the bottom of the page.
Yep.
And then coming from the north, you have another storm sewer, and then they get to a point, and then they split into those 2 diagonals that then eventually make their way towards the Milwaukee River. So they literally bisect multiple parcels. So those will have to be, they're only 4 feet deep, but they'll have to be realigned in order to make building pads. So there's a little bit of awkwardness from a infrastructure perspective. So when RJ's talking about that, just so you have a
Yeah.
background on what that's all about.
Thank you for the detailed explanation. Okay. So then just scrolling down here. These are the updated drawings that we're looking at right now for those single lots. I won't spend too much time because we're focused on the others, but so on this one, we have an open living room, just like you saw in that other picture, right? We'll have that open concept with the high vaulted ceiling in it. And then we've made some adjustments to put the staircases in the middle for a number of reasons. And then we'll have 2 bedrooms upstairs, and then downstairs in the basement area, we're looking at putting the garages in the back, and then you can drive into them. And then you'd have a bonus space here that you could finish out with additional bedrooms if you want, or a bonus space, things like that. And then upstairs on the top floor, you could have a big master bedroom up there. Closets, sitting space, etc.
Great. Any questions? Ooh, that's a good picture. Pull that one up.
The last 2 things then, yep. So we just had Daniel, who's our architect from Brazil. He likes to pick bright colors. But this is just showing you kind of some concept art to give you kind of a visual of what we're thinking right now.
So RJ, would this be built on a pad then, or would it truly be an excavated basement?
Our thought right now is that it would be on a true basement, and then because the lot slopes a little bit towards from the east to the west,
Okay,
what we would do is we would dig into the ground, and then we actually talked with the current owner about giving us rights to his land to do a driveway actually possibly from the back instead of coming in from the front. And then,
coming off of Northwestern.
yep, and so that you'd come in, if I pull up the drawing again here. So right now, we were looking initially at coming up through here and doing a drawing, but now he's saying that we could probably come up here and then come through the back, so it'd be less visible from the road, and then the garages are in the back here, and they can drive into the back of the building. So we wanna keep this nice and pretty in the front for across the street for where we have that park space.
Okay, thank you.
So is that a long shared driveway then, this whole?
Yes, it would be a long shared driveway, correct.
John, how would that be governed from a snow removal perspective and so forth? Would that become part of a association?
It would be an easement that would go across all the lots, and then it would be through an association, so they will have to have, they'll have to have an attorney draft something up in terms of ownership, maintenance. They'd have to determine, are they taking care of their own individual, but they have a company take care of the other part. They'll have to all be figured out from that perspective, yep. So essentially, it's a private alley. Yep.
Any other questions? So again, we're recommending, or not, but through this discussion, whether or not to bring this to consideration with a public hearing in June?
I believe because of the 30-day timing, it would be July. It would be our July meeting.
I have toured some of RJ's builds. In fact, he's moving into his own personal home that I toured a week and a half ago, and it's really neat. It's a neat, just innovative design, the way that these are built, the structures of them, they're solid. They go up quick, but don't let that fool you as far as just the quality and the construction. And I think it's a neat opportunity. I hope these sell fast and people love them, and we can do more in vacant lots in West Bend. But it's really an innovative concept and really pretty neat. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
So just one question, just for clarification for what would be the public hearing and what amendments we'd be making. If I look at the current zoning, would we then be changing part of the RS4 to M2 as well?
Yeah, so with the additional
that-
lot to
with
the
that third
north.
lot, yeah.
So the land use would actually be a change from the industrial and single family for that
Okay.
one additional lot.
Yep.
To the two-family land use. And then the zoning would be the same thing. We'd actually be rezoning from the RM2 and also that one lot that's RS4. And that would all go to RD2 then.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right. Do we need to take action on the recommendation to bring this back for a public hearing?
I think it's just a recommendation to staff to move forward with the public hearing and include the 3 lots rather than the 2 that were presented to you tonight.
Do you need us to take a vote?
I'd like to move forward with that
Sure,
recommendation.
we'll take a vote. I'll second the recommendation. Any other comments, questions? Recommendation is to bring this back in July for a public hearing, consideration of the land use change and the zoning with the 3rd lot added. And if there's any questions between now and then, plan commissioners can certainly reach out to John and Jim, and we'll look forward to having this come in July, it sounds like. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, RJ. Thanks, Randy, for being here tonight.
Absolutely, thank you.
Our last item is a concept plan, 25-001. This has to do with the Rainbow Lake area.
Just to close this, John.
I'll come up there.
Thank you. So we have a request from the new builder owner that acquired multiple property or multiple building pads out in this area. This development was originally approved back in 2004, which consisted of 248 multifamily units. Those 248 units consisted of a variety of 4 and 8 unit buildings on what I will call the north lot, which is, I believe it's Lake Ridge Court. And then also they had 16 and 32 unit buildings on what I'll call as the south lot, which were, again, was on Rainbow Lake Lane. So currently we have 3 4-unit buildings constructed on the north lot and 3 16-unit buildings constructed on the south lot. So what the developer is requesting for consideration from the Plan Commission, and what staff is actually asking for, is some discussion and for the proposed use. So the developer is looking to change the land use and the zoning for the remaining areas to be 2-family and also single-family. So their concept, which I provided today to the commission as part of the packet, kind of provides their layout that they're thinking about for the redevelopment of that, for the combination of the 2-family and the single-family, worked in and nestled in with the 4-family buildings to the north and the 16-unit buildings on the south property. As a part of that, they're looking at constructing 12 2-families and 1 single-family on that north lot off of Lake Ridge Court. And then off the Rainbow Lake road there, they're looking at 6 units, or 6 2-family buildings, and then 4 single-family buildings. Actually, I should say that's reversed. 12 2-families and 1 single-family on the south one, and the north one was the 6 2-families and the 4 single-families. So the developer is actually looking to construct 41 new units in that remaining area, which would result in a total of 101 units for the entire development versus the 248 that was originally proposed. So there is actually a reduction of 147 units for the development. All of the utilities out in this area are private. They all have been constructed, and they all are, right now, are serving those existing buildings that are out there. Right now, there's a homeowners association that is maintaining all of the current utilities and doing the maintenance on all the roads and the sites currently. As a part of that, there's also there's some questions in regards to the ownership and the homeowner stuff regarding that, for whether how the homeowners associations are gonna interact with the existing one and the new proposed one, for that. So what the developer is proposing is, again, the change from the multifamily to the two-family and single-family for the undeveloped areas. So this would provide 3 different land uses on these 2 properties. And then it would also incorporate a zoning change for incorporating the RM1 zoning along with the RS4 and RD2 zoning for the proposed use. As part of this, we would also need to have revised design plans for this. That would require approvals from the Plan Commission and possibly the Common Council. And those changes would be for site plans, grading plans, stormwater management updates and whatnot for that. The private agreements between the 2 homeowners associations would have to be worked out for the long-term maintenances on this. So, staff has reviewed the request, for the, and is requesting the Plan Commission to consider the proposed land use and zoning change along with site plan layout. And we're asking for some direction, with this, and we would recommend that the Plan Commission kind of review over all this. It's a very complicated, change that is involved with this, so it's not just a simple, I guess, lack of a better term, decision on this. So we're asking the Plan Commission to consider the information that's being presented tonight and then to take some kind of action and also provide direction for us. So we would ask that the commission would take some time to review this and that we'd entertain another discussion for the June meeting. The items that we'd ask the commission to take a look at and consider would be the land use, the zoning, the site plan, and the other considerations with the impacts to the stormwater management, and the private facilities for the sewer and water, and then also the homeowners association. So again, we wanted to bring this to the commission for a discussion. The developer is here that could answer any kind of questions or give some more insight in regards to the project.
Would you like to address the Plan Commission? You'd love to? Yeah. Great.
The exception of the fact he says beautiful night, so everybody wants. My name is Paul Apfelbach. I'm with Hillcrest Builders. I'm their Director of Development. We've owned this property now for 5 years, and the first time I'm here tonight is because we have worked patiently with the homeowners association that's there and the former landowner, a guy by the name of Bob Patch. It now seems that Bob, through one of his companies, has washed his hands of a 32-unit foundation that he has there that's a real eyesore. And as an aside to this, I would hope the city of West Bend would do everything possible to help push that through the county, because he's 3-4 years behind in taxes, and the homeowners would love to get rid of that property. Janet O'Brien, the president of the existing association, is with her son in Dallas tonight, couldn't be here. But she and their board and all of our discussions have been very much in support of what Hillcrest is proposing here with duplexes in place of the large buildings. We've been obstructed because of Bob Patch. We haven't pushed anything legally. We have hoops to jump through with the old association, in terms of amending a condominium declaration and things like that. But they very much want to get their project finished. They want more units to help share the cost of the private utilities, none of which would change. And Hillcrest, with those private utilities and roads and stormwater management and all that stuff, would become responsible for any developer's agreement. And we're not asking the city to waive or set aside any rights or incur any additional costs at all with respect to what we're trying to do. We are at the point that, after 5 years, we would like to see some concrete progress on this at this point. We're ready to demonstrate and show cooperation with the old association and so on. In terms of Jim saying it's complicated, it's probably not so much because of what we're asking to do, the city to do, but because of, there's sort of two phases of the project, because with condominium law, there's an area that's called expansion land that isn't part of the old association, but could be developed separately, and we've pursued that with the old association, I'm gonna call it. And we've got cooperation with respect to using private roads and sharing costs and doing everything possible to not mess this up for the current people that live there. Again, it's somewhat overdue finally to try to complete this project. The 32 families and the developments there just, you know, if it were financially feasible in the last 5 years, we would have pursued it, but it's not. And hopefully it won't take much longer. We get back under construction with duplexes. So again, if anything comes out of tonight, I hope it's that you can ask me questions, get answers, and we can get on somewhat of a path towards hopefully getting a foundation in the ground before frost, which is out of the ground now, but soon to be back in November or December. So and Hillcrest, by the way, it's been around for 20+ years. We developed just tons of duplex condos and mainly started out more with single-family homes. Out of Sheboygan County and Glen Beulah. I did provide some pictures, I thought, or elevations of the buildings. Same things we built everywhere from Menominee Falls and Plymouth and probably 10 communities and so on. So I'd like to hear what is wrong with our idea so that I can get on an agenda and have a path forward and bring any answers forward that you need, or understand where we are here with the city. We haven't been here for 5 years because we haven't had answers from Bob Patch and the homeowners association. We weren't gonna waste your time. Now I think I can be here and not waste your time. So if there's any questions, let me know.
Paul, are these owner occupied units?
Yes, all owner occupied.
Sorry about what you're going through with Mr. Patch, and hopefully we're on a path to
Part of the process.
develop, part of the process. Any questions?
Just like to know your rationale around adding the single-family homes into this development?
We felt they fit better than the duplexes. They're all part of the same association. They just happen to be one structure instead of two. So to call them single family may be a little bit misleading. They're all within the same association. They're condos. We've done it in other projects. I mean, I'm a developer. I like to squeeze in more units, right? So let's be realistic. So you put in singles to space them out better and have room for grading, but they're part of the same condominium projects. They're not single-family homes.
Max,
I've got a question.
you got any concerns or questions? Hang on just a second, John. I'm calling on Max because I can see a look in his eye that he's got some questions.
I don't have specific questions. I know we're going to have to go through processes. That was part of my comments on this. With revisiting the stormwater management, because obviously you're changing the landscape of the entire property, and we have to make sure that whatever you're proposing, how is that going to impact the best management practices that are on the property currently, There's the question about the lift station, because originally when I read the first memo, my understanding was that it would be adding more units than originally planned. So my first concern was overwhelming the existing lift station. Discussing with Jim, I better understood that actually you were reducing the amount of units, so that shouldn't be a capacity problem. Might have some questions with operations. I don't know if those pumps need to function at 60%, 80%, but now with your development, they'll be working at 40%. Is that a concern? So we'll have all these questions. I don't think we need to ask them tonight, but as we're moving forward, I'm sure, we'll be in communication with you and we'll go through all these questions and answer them as we go through.
Yeah, specifically with respect to stormwater management, that's normally, driven by impervious area. And I'm sure we can show that there's less impervious area with driveways and rooftops.
Yeah, I would expect
Proposed
that.
plan.
Yes, I would expect that.
And I think we're losing like more than 100 units. So the lift station's gonna be well under capacity. And that, unfortunately, I can tell you had a failure in the last year. And the current association is really up to speed now with respect to lift station management, because it's all private. And they had some liability with respect to an overflow that occurred there. And that will not go unnoticed, but there's no capacity issues, stormwater management, all those kinds of things because of the new development. And all the roads and curb and pavement are in there, that's all private, again, no cost to the city.
Yes, that's what I was saying, that I feel like based on the development, we will not have capacity issues in this sense that
Right.
whatever development is producing is going to overwhelm the existing facilities. We still want to see, okay, so now this jar was designed to receive a gallon of milk, and now how does it react when it receives half a gallon of milk? That's
And as if you were living there, the people that live there, the 60 people that live there, I think 3 or 4 years ago, I've attended all their annual meetings. And I've got an accounting background, and I've actually analyzed their budget and showed them how the budgets relate to the new units versus the old, and the fixed costs of things like their roads and the utilities, the stormwater management, even the street light bill. They get divided by another 41 units that aren't there and don't have a hope to be there if we don't develop something.
John, did you have a question?
I did. It was also in relation to the single-family units mixed in with the two-family. Have you done this in other projects?
Yeah, specifically in Menominee Falls on Good Hope and Pilgrim Road, we did a project and we've got single-family units there. They sell for a bit of a premium. The dues have to be uniform on a unit-by-unit basis, so you're splitting some hairs in terms of maybe that unit has a little more landscape cost per unit and some things like that don't make it absolutely perfect, but it looks the same and it acts the same. It has one vote with the condo association versus 2 votes in a duplex building. And it, if anything, it breaks up the elevations a little bit, going from building to building where we have them.
That was kind of my next question actually for you, was how's the aesthetics look on it? You have all the two families and then all of a sudden you plunk in a single family, does it breaks it up? Does it seem like it's well received?
It has
I
been,
mean,
yes. Trying to
Okay.
think of another project that we have singles. I can't.
Okay.
Off the top of my head, but they're People like them because they have windows on all four sides instead of three, and they don't have the risk of a noisy neighbor.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So question in the packet on page 24, the drawing there, the plat layout, is that as proposed or is that what was proposed? I looked at the date down here and I see 2022, so I'm thinking this is not what you're proposing at this stage.
We're very patient, and that's what we proposed to the
Okay.
association 3 years ago.
So which buildings on here would be those single-family units? One,
If you look at the south side of the project, there's only one all the way along the south border. Looks like number 12.
In
My
your,
eyes are bad here.
in your packet, it's on page 24 of your packet.
I'm looking at page 18, or page 19.
Is their proposal?
Sorry. Not this.
The single family would
This
be,
is their
on the
proposal.
screen, it's the
what
third
I
unit
have up on
from
the screen
the
is-
left, on the very bottom row.
That's the proposal.
And then on the northern
Oh.
part,
It's
the
number
single families-
22 on the south.
okay, sorry, I was only looking at that top portion, I was not,
and
okay.
then on the top portion, you have
5 of them, it looks like.
5. So on the south side of that private road, there'd be the first 3, and then the last 2 on the north side of the cul-de-sac.
Got it, okay, thank you.
And I should say, again, I've gone to at least 3 annual meetings for Rainbow Lakes. We started pushing through an amendment a couple of years ago that we got some nasty grams from Bob Patch, so we just backed off. And I have never heard a negative comment from a Rainbow Lake resident that lives there, the 60 of them. And that's gotta be 5 or 6 encounters I've had with meetings that I've attended, and literally signature gathering, meetings out in the parking lot when we were getting an amendment signed and we backed off because of Bob Patch, and we thought we'd just wind up, then we suddenly had an opportunity to buy him out. Then he changed his mind, and we just haven't pushed it legally. We're not confrontational, I'm gonna say.
If I may make a couple comments about the site plan, I think the single family on the top part mixed with the 2 families, that they alternate, so it works fairly well. On the bottom, the 1 single family, it's sort of is just in line, but I think that one will just sort of blend in. My particular more concern is actually the two boxes that are actually in the middle of the circle. They're the way that particular building's designed, there's definitely a front and a back. The living rooms face the back. So on the one side, they're going to have the garages and their front door, but then what would essentially be their backyard is actually going to be facing that other street. So they're going to have traffic and lights on 2 sides. They're not, everybody else has a front and a back. They're going to have a backyard, landscaping. Those 2 are kind of right in the middle. You might be able to turn the one and do something else. And if we don't have a landscaping plan, if there was a lot of buffering, that might work. But those 2 are the ones that, from a planning urban design perspective, that it has a lot to do with how other design components layer on. If there's not a lot of landscaping, their back windows of their living room are going to be fairly exposed from that perspective. The other meeting is, I just want to let you know that Jim and I did meet with the president of the Homeowners Association. The developer is accurate. They're excited that there will be more units. They have a very large system of roads and lights and sewer systems to maintain on their own because the development didn't move forward. So there is a extra burden for them. And correct me, Jim, if I'm wrong on this statement, but I believe her biggest concern was that what she communicated to us was that the Homeowners Association could not be modified to include the new units. They would be a self-sufficient homeowners association, and then there would have to be another homeowners association And her concern in that meeting was depending on how those documents get written, and those are not things the city approves. Those are something the developer puts in place that potentially there was a concern that they would still be stuck with all of the roads, all of the lighting, all of the sewer system, and if those documents weren't done correctly, you could have a lot of people using systems that they don't have to pay into. And so that was her, I think they've had lots of conversations, but that was sort of her one comment. And was that pretty accurately expressed? Just because you don't really know what those documents and things are going to look like, and there's a lot of faith in the conversations at this point that if something wasn't quite written correctly, that's just sort of in the background of her mind. So that's sort of
Jim used the word complicated earlier, which I don't like that word, especially when it's in a process like this with planning commissions and common councils. But the document between the new units and the old is complicated because of everything John just said.
Correct.
And we're not dealing with Foley and Lardner and Quarles and Brady as occupants of Rainbow Lakes. We're looking at homeowners that don't have legal backgrounds, that are dealing with Hillcrest, which is Oyvind Solvang, the owner, and me, and in all reality, trusting us that we're proposing a document with our attorney that's going to protect them, and they're certainly gonna hire an attorney. But there has to be a contractual arrangement that they don't get stuck with all the private roads, and they have teeth and the right to lien the homeowners if they don't pay, and all of the protections. I mean, we've even proposed a clause that says that the old association would have the right to be unconditionally reimbursed for any cost incurred that the new units gain any economic interest. I mean, I've tried to describe it any way I can in English to get them comfortable. And we've, we'll even pay their legal fees. We're not asking them to sign something. This has been going on for years. So with like a letter of intent and so on, we have a ways to go to get them comfortable with that, but they're under no pressure to deal with Hillcrest to sign something over that the old 60 unit people wind up with anything but benefit. I mean, they're gonna put up with some construction traffic, but they have to look at what's the alternative if Hillcrest doesn't go forward and these 16s and these 32s and these other high density buildings get, built. If Hillcrest can always sell that land, and someday those bigger buildings may be economically viable. And I mean, I wish Janet was here because she's told me that if Bob Patch went forward we went forward with the old plan, she'd move out. And I'll leave it up to John and Jim to
I'll
repeat that quote to her from me and see what they say from before the next meeting, because I'm confident that they don't want the old plan.
So with regard to the larger buildings, just so the planning commission can understand this, so Jim and I did have a conversation with Ian and our city attorney, and we were talking about, that typically those 16 and 32s, you haven't actually seen them in the marketplace being built as condominiums recently. And that's because during the recession about 15 years ago, a lot of bank policies, lending, other types of things have been changed and put in place. So these smaller buildings, you may see some high rises on lakefront in Milwaukee that are condos and things like that. But this sort of mid-sized building is just one of those projects, those types of buildings that are kind of a little bit harder, and they're not as readily get through kind of the mortgage and the financing and things like that. So just so you're aware of that, that's one of the reasons why you don't see them. Are we going to see them in the near future? Possibly not. It probably would take a little bit of effort on the industry from that perspective. So I don't you know, I think there's a reality that it's going to be something different than what was originally proposed 20 years ago. Obviously, the two-family duplexes are a very popular home style that we've had for a number of decades and probably will be going into the future, so.
From a more macro perspective, in a lot of the communities we're in, we find that the duplexes free up the housing stock of empty nesters moving from other parts of the city that wanna stay in the city. They go to the condos and free up the houses for younger families.
Good discussion. I certainly don't want to cut it off if there's more questions or feedback. I echo what John said about those. There's 3 units that are in the middle of that circle on the south end there. I don't know, maybe you can move those 2 houses closer to one of the streets so that you have more of a defined front and back. I know we're not platting these out tonight, but can definitely see what you're saying. They appear to be right in the middle of with equal distance between the front and the rear. Something that could certainly be adjusted. I would just hate to see those 2 units not be sold because.
I think the old plan had a 32 family in that island.
Yeah, I bet. I'm sure it
Think of
did.
that.
It's a very difficult space. It's
Yeah.
clearly a space that was designed for the 32 that had, you know, 2 windows on all sides and now trying to put a different building type in. It's a very tight, unusual space.
Yep.
Thank you.
As far as the reduction in the number of units, and just like you said, people aren't building these big multi-unit buildings anymore. These are nice-looking duplexes. The fact that you've got a single family kind of tucked in on the bottom there, that doesn't bother me at all. I'm sure that would be a desirable unit to buy. Same with the units at the top, the single family mixed in with the duplexes, that doesn't bother me. There was a typo in one of these memos that said, Rainbow Lake condominiums were started in 2006 or nearly 10 years ago. It's nearly 20 years ago.
Yes.
And I'm sure, and I drive by all the time. Right now it looks like an unfinished development, and it's looked that way for 20 years.
Especially with that foundation that's
Yeah.
there.
And so this excites me, having this neighborhood developed and putting in nice duplexes for sale. We're always looking for homes that are for sale around West Bend and not just apartments all the time. And so I'm excited about it. There's certainly going to be a lot to work through, and it sounds like both sides are up to that challenge. Any other comments? All right. Well, Jim and John will use this feedback and continue to work with Paul and.
Well, if you can get me back here once a month for the next 3-4 months, I won't need my GPS or anything.
Yeah, you can come back to
45
West
minutes
Bend
away, I'd love to
anytime.
answer any questions, and we'll work with the community, not against it, so.
Yep. And we appreciate that.
We
partnership.
would have been here sooner if we wanted to waste your time.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Paul. Any other items? There's no more items on our agenda, but anything else, Jim or John? Our next meeting is June 4th-ish? June 3rd. I have an announcement to make to the Plan Commission. I got a call from Chris Schmidt today. He will be stepping down from the Plan Commission, and just want to thank him for his many years of service to the Plan Commission. And he was an asset to this group, and want to publicly thank him. On May 19th, we have a council meeting, and I will be recommending Jed Dolnick to fill his seat to the council. Jed is another familiar face to the Plan Commission, has served on it for many years. When he was done being an alderman, he immediately expressed interest to me if there was ever a position available on the Plan Commission. It's something he really enjoyed. And I didn't make a promise to him or anything like that, but I agree that he was a valuable member and would love to have him back. And so certainly look for your input if that's okay.
I think that'd be good.
Okay. So I'll recommend that to Common Council on May 19th, and Jed will be here then on June 3rd pending council approval. That's all I got. Everybody good? Thank you all for being here. Have a great night.